wear a mask. Oh, counterfeit, you faking me out, you wear a mask. Faking me out, you wear a mask. Oh, counterfeit, you faking me out, you wear a fake.
Welcome to Fahrenheit AI, episode 13. Today we're going to look at text in Ideogram and in Mid Journey. We're going to build our second AI agent, and we're going to look at deepfake and why it's getting scarier. In Ideogram, we know that it generates text very well. Mid Journey has started to generate text too. I took the name Hammerhead Print from a design being developed for a friend, and I generated it in Ideogram. Ideogram was able to generate the spelling correctly. Images that it created, I could isolate the text easily, like in this example. I did remixes on the best ones that were spelled correctly with minor adjustments to how much the image was influencing the generation, and that created randomness with correct spelling and the easily isolated images. As an artist and a graphic designer, looking for things that I can use easily is probably my biggest driver. When I've added some graffiti effect, I get some text that's a little bit different, a little bit more exciting. Then I can also take it into Illustrator and use the retype tool to identify the fonts. That way I can do things that are creative, but a little more traditional. Some of the generations are spelled wrong, and some of the misspellings where the H has combined with an E might be a stylistic choice. Some of the distress would be difficult to fix, but if you took it into Photoshop, Photoshop AI could remove the distress. These results look pretty good. Everything is spelled correctly except for this one, which has several issues.
Take them beans!
These generated well, and they have easy to extract fonts. Overall, Ideogram performed really well. There was nothing too extravagant. I didn't try to do anything difficult except for the spelling of the word hammerhead. Check out where we are with deepfake today.
It's become almost commonplace for bad actors to deepfake politicians, but it's unusual for politicians to deepfake themselves. That's something that the Mayor of New York has actually done. Towards the end of last year, Mayor of New York, Eric Adams, revealed in a press conference that he'd used deepfake technology to make a series of automated or robocalls to NYC residents. In these calls, which mainly promoted the hiring of venues owned by the city, the mayor was able to speak a variety of languages, including Mandarin, Cantonese, and Spanish, using deepfake tech. These actions have raised more than a few eyebrows in certain quarters.
Now we're in Mid Journey. Just to start off, Mid Journey's having trouble spelling the word hammerhead. One was spelled correctly, which is similar to how Ideogram started. I can upscale it. I could do subtle changes, but it's not going to give me as much variation unless I generate again and again. Maybe if I used a tuner, but then I don't think it would maintain the spelling. It also seems that Mid Journey is relying heavily on generating the image along with the text. The Mid Journey hammerhead that looks like graffiti is pretty interesting, so I might try something with that. There's only one that's close to the correct spelling. It's not spelled correctly, but it does have some creative flair, which is interesting. It does have the word print on the bottom under the shark's jaw. Overall, I think Ideogram outperforms Mid Journey today. Check out this ad from our new sponsor, Jerseys. Now we're going to create our second AI agent, and we're still using MindStudio because so far that is proving the most effective. I want to learn as much as I can before trying something new. Basically, all of these tools are going to do the same thing. They just have different user interfaces and different APIs that they interact with. The first step is to create a prompt for the agent. It will prompt the agent into existence. It will give the agent characteristics based on what you tell it that you want. I played around with this, and then I generated a prompt for the prompt generator through ChatGPT. In the end, it made the results too complex. And that's why mine is so long. Essentially, it wants to know what the AI agent is going to do, and then it will generate a prompt for you. Then you fill it in as you go along to optimize its behavior. So here I am overdoing it, and it generates a prompt inside of MindStudio that's really long. It gave me a very detailed directive basically on what I asked for. If you don't get complex in what you ask it, it can still create complex directives. But what I'm asking it is simple. I just gave it too many instructions. I have found, though, that taking things out was way easier than trying to figure out what to add. By generating too much, I learned a lot. So here's my final prompt. It's an expert in apparel embellishing blog. And the hashtags are just indications of the topic that is being covered. The introduction is Fahrenheit AI is an in-kitchen production in collaboration with Notorious R&D to explore AI and its impact on the apparel embellishment industry. This is an agent that creates a blog based on YouTube playlists, which is not actually correct, but in a way it is because I'm giving it transcripts, but that's implying that it would go find that information, and it's not capable of extracting a transcript straight from a video yet. Its instructions include always spell Fahrenheit AI correctly or use Fahrenheit AI abbreviated, write blog content about the topic, use the data source, stay relevant to the specific topic being reviewed, length of the blog should be at least 700 words, do not name the episode, tone should be logical and concise, do not exaggerate or embellish, and then include a call to action, asking readers to check out Fahrenheit AI at Ink Kitchen YouTube with the playlist link. The next step is to decide what inputs you need from the human, the user, in order to generate the blog. So the input in this case is a short text answer. There are a lot of options for the type of input that the human can give. You can do multiple choice, you can do long text answer. All of it is interpreted by the agent. The variable is called topic because we use the variable when we create the automation. And then the label text is what is the topic that needs to be reviewed for the blog. This is the question that the human needs to answer. And then you can put a placeholder text in with an image if you want to. All of this can be embedded on your website too. So the next part is the data. This data set is the transcripts of Fahrenheit AI, the first 12 episodes, and some of the blogs before we became a podcast. Everything is loaded in as text or as PDF. This is one data set because all of this data relates to each other in a single unit. The next data set that I created is called style. That has 4 examples of my writing that I want the agent to use for reference when it creates a blog, so that the blog that it creates sounds like me. It sounds like something I wrote. Let's take another look at politics and deepfake today.
And then more recently in Indonesian elections that happened earlier this year, we saw an avatar of a synthetically resurrected, deceased previous leader coming back to endorse one of the candidates.
President Indonesia.
But in the Argentinian elections late last year, we saw both candidates using AI-generated images to depict the opponents as weak, but also to embolden themselves, making them look like heroes or strong men.
The next step is to identify the model. MindStudio actually has a really good selection of models that you can choose from. They have ChatGPT, they have Gemini, they have Llama, they have Palm, they have Claude. Getting to know the models is something of a process. You can read about them, you can experience them by using them. It's sort of like getting to know different personalities. I have not used Claude Sonnet until now, and I actually liked the results that it gave. It sounded more like me than ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a tendency to make everything very flourishy, and you have to instruct it to stop doing that, but then it can become very short. So this seems a lot more like natural language and my style of language. I have not tried Gemini through MindStudio yet, but perhaps on our next build we can try that. You can also set the temperature and the max response size. The temperature generally, I find, works the best when you come in right under unstable. When it's unstable, it can hallucinate, and when it's too low, it becomes too strict and sounds like a computer. The max response size is the number of words, but I've also told it in the instructions the number of words. If I make all of those three things align, that would probably be the safest guarantee on results. But I can say through the testing, guaranteeing a length is hard. The next is to build the automations. So after we start the process, this is what the agent is going to go through step by step. The first step is user input. It's the topic. What do you want the blog to be about? The next is to query the data source. The data source is the Fahrenheit AI transcript. So it's going to query that and use the topic to collect appropriate data from that data source. The next step is to query the style data, and it's going to use that data to set the tone for the final step, which is to send the blog to the human in its 700 words on the topic using the data set of Fahrenheit AI in the style of Michelle. And the final result takes you to your AI. You open it and start a new interaction. It will ask you what you want the blog to be about. In this case, we say that we want the blog to be about AI agents. You will see that it starts to query the data sources. You can also open a debugger so that you can see how much data it's using from your sources and whether or not you even need them. In today's fast-paced digital world, businesses are constantly seeking ways to streamline operations. It goes on to say, from autonomous social media departments, the power of AI agents in daily operations. AI agents can analyze vast amounts of data, enhancing decision-making, healthcare industry, finance sector, ethical considerations, continuous monitoring and valuation of AI agents' impact on your business. It did a good job. It basically summarized all of the topics that we've discussed in Fahrenheit AI. It fleshed them out. It made them coherent. It didn't focus on the apparel industry very much. So I can ask it in a chat to target the content towards the apparel embellishment industry, please. And it will rewrite the blog with that as a focus. The new blog is also very good. It references the AI pricing calculator. It references quality control in apparel manufacturing. It references the SEP AI that I'm working on. It references all of the content of Fahrenheit AI, and it moves away from the more generic content. I think at the end of the story, it would probably be best to have a combination of these two, which I can just ask in the chat. But the tone is there, and the content is there. And now I have a functioning blog agent that I can incorporate into my marketing department.
Thanks so much, you guys.
It's the end of the world.